For new things to come, old things must go. There is the willingness, first of all, to let go. And then there is your skill level.
Create a standard of intentional time where your heart, at least in all of the doing outside of your heart, can have 5 minutes.
Sometimes you only need a few minutes for your whole life to change.
You need to stop being so consumed with yourself.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video. If someone's embarking on a new journey and they don't know where to start, a lot of people are carrying around a lot of baggage or heavy weights with them on these journeys that they don't need to be. You know, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of things that are just irrelevant. How important is it? I mean, we spoke about it the other day about emptying the cup. I'm not having all that stuff. Going into the new year, into 2023, like how important is it if people want to embark on a new journey to sort of drop those weights that they don't need to be carrying anymore?
If someone is determined to really figure out what does this life has to offer to you, if you want to really engage into life at its fullest, I would say, the more you're able to let go, the quicker you are going to approach along this way. Why? Because the more things, the more weight you are letting go, the more light you become, the more open you become, the more new things are automatically starting to fill all the gaps that now you have made space for. But if you are starting into the next year, into your next period, but you keep on having the same things over and over again that are already inside of you since the last 20 years, nothing too much new gonna come. Because there is something already too hard inside of you. You're stuck already with a conceptual view about how this life is supposed to look. And this is sometimes why we call, you have the physical practice to keep your body healthy and running along this lifetime. But then we have the spiritual practices, the ones that don't have so much to do anymore with the physicality. They have something to do with opening up, allowing your mind to get free of the concepts, get free of the things that have been accumulating inside of ourselves, and that from time to time then start to block ourselves. And this is why we have those physical practices, mental practices, and both of them, the more you're able to let go, the farther you're going to proceed. So therefore, to your question, it is essential. The more your willingness and your ability to let go, the more changes are going to come. It's just like this. For new things to come, old things must go. And now, just as I mentioned, there is the willingness, first of all, to let go. And then there is your skill level, your abilities. Can you, even if you want? And there it is now also good to know. By practicing certain methods, many of them that I told you already, many of them that are also available. By using them, there is a certain degree that you can already help or support yourself in letting go, learning what does it mean to let go. But sometimes there are also things that have, let's say, that are caught within us. that you just cannot reach by yourself. And this is the moment where sometimes you need support. Where sometimes, even if the willingness is there, and you even maybe can see what it is that is stuck inside of you, but sometimes you need a person, more persons, or sometimes you need an additional support to get rid of it. So this is also important really to understand. Yeah. But this is the reason why nowadays people start to travel and go to all different types of places, meeting shamans, meeting monks, all of this. This is, I really think, where it comes from. Because they feel that they for themselves cannot proceed anymore. They maybe have reached their limit of knowledge and their skill level at the same time to proceed deeper. So, and who are the ones that are able to proceed from there on? Only the ones that went deeper. And this is where it's ending once again, why we have walls around here. Because you have a lot of time for yourself. And if you are putting the right effort into it, the right concentration to it, and the right meditation to it, there is a type of depth that you can then develop, which an average person normally does not have the time for. Everybody can achieve it. If you are investing enough of the effort, enough of the training into it, enough of the time in really watching inside of yourself. And why I mention this is that this is the reason why sometimes if people come here, if they speak to spiritual people sometimes, they can take something out from you that you for yourself cannot do. And maybe no one in your surroundings was able so far to do it. But it is simply because we can see a little bit closer. That's it. There is no magic to that. It's just that it was part of our daily routine, part of our daily life, belonging to exactly that. The Shaolin way of living. Physical deaths and mental deaths.
You used the word skill a few times and ability there. And I think there's a lot of people who have expectations of themselves, especially for the year. And they have goals for the year, but they don't necessarily have the ability or the skills. I mean, is there a mistake in that? Is there a mistake in setting goals that are beyond your skill set? And yeah, just like how would somebody go about achieving something beyond what they are capable of right now?
One thing really to know in this type of state is, why is it that I'm always saying you do not want to make big jumps? You don't want to make huge changes. Why is it better to have like small steps, like with small milestones along the way? Because my observation so far is that if something within this world is changing too quickly, it either comes quick and therefore leaves quick, or it comes quick and then mostly it has a type of destructive character. So let's just take, for example, the earthquakes, the tsunamis, the volcano eruptions. No matter what it is, the bomb explosion. What does bomb explosion mean? There is something which is changing the status quo in a very short time, very dramatically. So huge changes in a short time is not what we want. What does it mean for us? Don't put unrealistic goals into your year where you actually already know, I could maybe achieve it, but therefore what? Therefore, a lot of other things are going to be destroyed. A lot of other things are going to stop developing. And this is maybe not something that you want. So instead of making huge plans with huge steps, better think about how to structure your 24 hours and put a little bit of what you want to develop there inside that day. Because instead of huge steps, what we are using as a method is continuity. That one is your friend. Repetition is your friend. Not huge jumping. It is the repetition of things that starts to embody something inside of you. And if you have a goal, and if you know what type of skills, which tools you are going to need to make this goal become true, I do think you need to figure out how you're going to get to those skills, first of all, and then make a plan and invest in them. And at least in the Kung Fu training, it is like this, that we say some skills, they come after years of training. You might feel the benefit of a certain skill already pretty soon, but ultimately it's repetition.
How do we, use spiritual teachings and Buddhist teachings to help with anxiety?
Well, I mean, so there's a lot of different levels of anxiety, but in Buddhism we talk of this mental factor or part of the mind that we call attention. There's two types of attention that make us suffer. One is called inappropriate attention, and one is called unstable attention. Unstable attention is when the mind doesn't focus, it doesn't pay attention to anything. It's when the mind just flits from one thing to the next. So, like if I were to ask you, how many things have you thought about since you woke up this morning? It would probably be millions, right? And it would all be just one thing moving into the next, like a stream of nonsense, probably. Like, not you in particular, but...
There's been a few thoughts.
But like, you're like, it's like a bad radio station that's playing in the background of our life. Memories, colors, words, sounds, thoughts, like a stream. And it's just evolving, one thing into the next. It's not like if I say to you, how many things have you thought about today? You're not going to say 3. It's millions. And most of those things you won't remember, which shows that at no point are we locking onto anything. So we call this flitting from one thing to the next, unstable attention. Now we're trying to remember, like, happiness, peace of mind, freedom from anxiety, they arise from mental peace. So they arise when the mind is still. But we suffer from unstable attention, which means we're trying to build a happy life on moving ground because we have this stream of thoughts performing a backdrop or functioning as a backdrop to our life. Now, if you introduce to that some worries, we can't process the worries because it's already turbulent in our mind. So that's what's intensifying those feelings of anxiety. Now, one of the things that feed both unstable attention and turbulent mental states is distraction. And we're living in an age of addictive technology, which is feeding the unstable attention and this turbulent states of mind. Now, because it makes us feel uneasy, we seek relief from the uneasy feelings that we're having, and then we seek that relief by going to more distraction. Sometimes we look in the fridge, sometimes we put the television on, but mostly we're scrolling. And that's constantly just feeding. It's giving us a very, very short-term distraction from the unpleasant experience of that, but ultimately it's making it worse. And this is what's making the mental health issues increase. I'll come back to that. That's unstable attention. The other type of attention we have is called inappropriate attention. Now, inappropriate attention is when the mind does lock onto something and it does become still, but it's focusing on something that makes us miserable, like someone who harmed us. Like if there's someone who's harmed us at work, maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're single-pointedly focusing on how they've harmed us. And that fuels all of our insecurities and our negative states of mind. Or maybe it's someone that we're attached to, like maybe someone who we want in our life, but they don't want to be in our life. Or someone we want in our life, but we suspect they're moving away from us. Again, 2 o'clock in the morning, single-pointedly focused, just focused on it, just crippling us. So like, for as long as we have these two types of attention, we are condemned to experiencing emotional problems such as anxiety. Now, the solution to the first one, unstable attention, is we must learn to meditate. Like, even if it's just breathing, just focusing on the breath inside the nostrils, even if it's just 5 minutes. Because once we can introduce to our mind a stillness that comes from focusing on the breath, we will start to realize there's another way. Sometimes you only need a few minutes for your whole life to change. So that's one. And then with the inappropriate attention, that's where we need to then extend our meditation to the stages of the path, to start thinking like love over attachment, or acceptance over anger, or understanding that things are created through, we are architects of our existence, the wish to use difficulties to shape who we are, to shape our character. Like these spiritual matters become the antidote to our inappropriate attention. So all in all, it's like it all comes as part and parcel of introducing a spiritual dimension or a spiritual component to your life.
If you're like me and millions of other people, you probably lead a busy life, and that's where this stuff comes in absolutely clutch. I know that I just scoop, shake and go, and I'm ready for my day. There are other companies that are trying to do what Huel is trying to do, but they use cheap ingredients. Sometimes it requires you to take 15 pills, or preparing food, trusting supplements with subpar ingredients, and also taking 15 pills a day is just something that we don't all want to do. That's where Huel makes health possible. Black Edition has 40 grams of protein in, 26 vitamins and minerals, and every single ingredient inside this has been carefully selected by Huel's expert team. So you know you're getting the good stuff. Don't just take my word for it. Millions of other people around the world are now using Huel as part of their daily routine. People like Idris Elba, Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, Hardis Geezer, the man who ran the entire length of Africa, was using this stuff. If you want to join the movement, go to the link down below where you can get a free t-shirt, a free shaker, and also if you subscribe to Huel, you can get 10% off every single order. This is next freaking level. Go get some.
Something that I want to talk about on that we've spoke before on camera is about relationships. And one of we had a conversation recently. I can't remember, it was one of the interviews, but it was one of the most important decisions you can make is your life partner, who you choose to marry. But yeah, how do you go about choosing a life partner? What qualities should you be looking for when you do that?
So it's not an easy question to answer, but I will say a few points. You know, I think it goes back to a lot of the themes we've been talking about. They talk soulmates. If you don't know who you are, can you really find someone that will complement you? Many of us don't. Talked about responsibility. It's hard for me to imagine that someone doesn't have a sense of responsibility for themselves, to others, is going to be able to be in a healthy relationship. Because a relationship is about responsibility as well. It's not just the fun part, the commitment part, that the other part, your partner needs something from you. Whether it's a menial thing like taking out the garbage or something more significant. And you can't, irresponsible, many people don't want to get married because it's a responsibility. What do I need this responsibility for? I have someone else supporting me, or I don't need another person in my bedroom, in my room, in my house. That's different than me. So what it does is, the very relationships by definition is an extension of human beings by definition, which is that we're here not just to take care of yourself. You're here to serve. You're here to give. And part of that is a relationship. Where more is there give than in love in a relationship? Where you're giving, where you're there for another person. So I think the same crisis of relationship spills over into the crisis of I'm sorry, the same crisis of responsibility spills over into the crisis of relationships and commitments and understanding what love is. Many people love, they'll say, I love myself. That's love. The idea of loving another only if I get something in return. I remember once counseling someone who was having difficulties finding a soulmate, a partner. And I saw that he was a narcissist, basically. So I said, do you ever hear of the concept of unconditional love? So he, without missing a beat, he says, yeah, if my partner would do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then I'd have unconditional love. I said that all those ifs are called conditions. He didn't realize that. Okay. So then I said, do you have any blind spots? He said, yes, but I know what they are. I said, so they're not a blind spot. In other words, a person is completely not self-aware. He's totally consumed with himself. And he's telling me that he can't find a relationship. I said, you need to stop being so consumed with yourself. And he said, what do you mean? I'm finding someone who's also going to be, like, I said, yeah, you're looking for someone that's going to be accessory to you. You want another accessory. It's not love. That's loving yourself and seeing if somebody else is also there to love you. You know, I said, but he did not have the concept. He has to be educated. This is a common problem in our society, not because people are bad, because we're not educating people that way. Most of our education system, let's be honest, our schools, the best schools, are teaching you how to develop your tools to make a lot of money. Simple as that, to build a career, respectable career. There are the schools that talk about values and you have to give back, but it's not as important as getting into Ivy League school where you're going to learn to make a lot of money. And yes, be charitable. How many classes in business do you know talk about charity? There may be some exceptions. It's not common because it's all about me, and how I'm going to become bigger. That idea that you're here to serve. You know, I speak very often to people who claim they don't believe in God. They call themselves atheists, agnostics, and so on. And I say, you know, I have a story in my book called the story where Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev, a great rabbi in the 19th century, tells a self-proclaimed atheist, the God you don't believe in, I also don't believe in. Because let's first define God. So I always say to people, I'm going to define something here and tell me if you accept this. The idea of life is not just about me, it's about serving a higher purpose than yourself. Most people say yes. I said, you know, that's God. Call it by any name you like. I don't care what it's called. They say, no, but that's not a God out there watching us. I said, that's your childish stereotype. Is the idea that you're instead of worshiping yourself, you're worshiping something greater than yourself. Can you accept that? And people say yes. So they think God is the God that is like the man sitting with a long white beard in heaven on a throne, ready to strike us with lightning when we misbehave. I said, that's nursery school God. That's a childish, juvenile image from comic books, from fairy tales. It's not a real God. The idea of God is that there's something greater than we are. You don't want to use the word God? I don't care. I'm not invested in the word God. My point is that if you don't have that attitude, life is very different. If someone says to me, my life is to be selfish and satisfy my own needs as much as I want, I look at them, I'll smile, I'll say, God bless you. Or you don't want to have God, maybe be blessed, and that's it. As I said, I'm not looking to debate someone. You're happy, you're happy. I can give you an argument against that, but if that's what you feel, that the ultimate purpose in life is indulging in your own pleasures, you know, so in other words, it's not about any legacy, about anything eternal. If something makes me happy right now, instant gratification, doesn't matter. Are you ready to hurt other people? Some say maybe, maybe not. Most people don't like to say I'm ready to hurt someone. So I say, so good, this is a philosophy of your life. You know, I personally cannot live that way. It just doesn't make sense to me that that's life. So, but as soon as you have the attitude, there is some higher purpose and mission, then responsibility follows and relationships follow, a healthy relationship. Because then the relationship is also part of that so-called higher purpose. It's not just about me getting my needs met because I need sex or I need pleasure or I need a companionship or I need someone to come with me to a party or a dance partner, you know. It becomes something that's transcendent. So I use the word transcendence a lot because I think it captures in a very non-threatening way a transcendental life versus a existential one versus one that is all about my needs. Most people can relate to that.
I think our audience is the business side. You know, a lot of them are quite successful or on the journey to be successful.
Yeah.
But the happiness element, I would say, is missing due to not having that spiritual alignment. Where would they start?
Here's what I tell. I had a client. She has I was on a call with a lady who has a business, like $15 million. And she was like, I have the husband, I have the kids, I have the money and everything, but I just feel like something is missing. And we're about to go back to this conversation. And I was like, what'd you used to love to, by the way, her shoulders were sunken in like this. What'd you used to love to do as a child that brought you the most joy? She's, I remember I used to love to dance. And then she literally shifted right before my eyes, thinking about what she used to love to do. And I was like, when was the last time you danced? She shifted again, 20 years ago. And I did the same, mom. And I said, you tap into your, it's like a spiritual umbilical cord to source energy, to heaven. When you align the little kid inside of you and alchemize it with the adult. That's where all your creativity comes from, the energy comes from, all these different things. Don't leave the little kid with the big ideas, the bigness. And so where I would tell somebody to start is once a week. For all the analytical people, schedule it. Find one thing that you can do that you used to love to do as a child that brought you the most joy. If you don't remember, ask somebody that was around during that time. What did I used to love to do? Oh, you used to love to play the guitar. I'm like, why did I stop? Oh, you had broken. We never bought you another one. It's because nobody paid attention. So the child then abandons the thing that they love, to then focus on what everybody else, where people pay attention to, because energy goes where energy flows. So find one thing that you can do and take your little kid out on a self-date, whether it's dancing, singing, swimming, doing visual arts, whatever, the telescope at night, whatever, playing with Barbie dolls. But it used to bring you so much joy. Take 5 minutes. I'm not even going to tell you an hour, like I do an hour. Take 5 minutes once a week and make it intentional. You're not an adult doing this. You're coming from the little kid inside of the adult and say, you know what? I'm taking my little kid and we're about to go skateboarding, or we're about to go roller skating, or we're about to do this. Give yourself 5 minutes once a week. Once a week for 90 days. And I want you to pull out a journal and I want you to document and timestamp every synchronicity that doesn't typically happen during those 90 days. And I want you to have a written record of all of the documentation and the timestamp, and then connect the dots looking backwards. That is your little kid, that magical world of the inner you coming online. Now I want you to look at all those synchronicities together. And since you measure data and all this other stuff, you cannot grow what you don't measure. Measure what has happened and occurred in 90 days that doesn't typically happen, simply because you took 5 minutes of present time to spend with your inner child.
Just to clarify this as well, what you're not saying is if you used to dance as a child, we're not talking about you pursuing that to be a professional career.
No, I'm not telling you scaling it and getting ClickFunnels. No. This is specific time to give to your heart. The EKGs of the heart is like the most powerful frequency in the world. Well, we spend more time in our head. Out of the head into the heart. Can you have at least 5 minutes. I'm talking to a couple the other day. She was like, and I don't know. She's like, my husband, and I just feel like he doesn't see me and he doesn't hear me. And I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. I was like, if he goes a whole day without saying, I love you, what are you going to be thinking? Oh, I'm going to think there's something wrong. What if he goes 2 days? Well, I'm going to really question if he goes an entire week after saying I love you every single day. She was like, well, then we're going to have to question the relationship. I said, so this makes sense to you, right? She said, yeah. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I love you to yourself? And she goes, maybe like 6 years ago. I said, there's your answer right there. You're blaming somebody for something you haven't given to yourself. You can't hold somebody to a standard they don't even know exists because you don't even have standards for your own self. So what I'm saying is, create a standard of intentional time where your heart, at least in all of the doing outside of your heart, can have 5 minutes. Some people right now, they're like, I don't know, man, because I got this. Would you ever look at your child and say, hey, you're not worth 5 minutes? Well, that's what you're doing to your own self. So now the spiritual aspect of yourself is rejecting, and that's the feeling that you're feeling because it's the little kid inside that feels rejected. And so you're perpetuating, manifesting the same thing through other people, what you're not giving to yourself, and blaming it on other people.